Hello everyone, this is Heart of the Moon. This is another video in a recap series. The universe had created something worth checking out, the signs in the sky. Before we look at the lights in the sky, first, need to identify someone, but with a twist. How to identify someone believed to be from the spectral realm. The how, we propose using a geographic anthology. What do we mean by that? Follow the energy trail, see where it leads. The someone is known as the devil. First, do we know anything about this individual? Just consider Ephesians 6, verse 12. People engage with, quote, the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms, unquote. And a form that describes something from the physical world, such as the human-made ego. In the Workbook of Miracles, page 467 says, it, the ego, quote, stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite, unquote. According to Revelation 12, verse 9, the devil was thrown to the earth with a mission, one, quote, who deceives the whole world, unquote. Next, how does an idea come to life? Does it stay in darkness all the time? To see the light of day, eventually it's brought into the world. It becomes grounded in reality. Eventually, he's going to show his hand. Exactly. We propose a comparison. Do ideas in general and quantum objects have anything in common? Previously, we mentioned the idea of a wave function. We'd like to invite everyone to consider the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics and how it relates to the everyday world. Recall, all we know, our quantum roller coaster could be anywhere in the bell-like curve on the left. Then, upon measuring, its position happens to be where the spike is. Notice, the object's wave function has collapsed. Take a moment to consider the many worlds interpretation. In the same way, the roller coaster could be anywhere in the curve on the left. Then, upon measuring, its position happens to be where the spike is. But notice, the object's wave function does not collapse. The good news, we don't have to worry about the details. Just this. What's the similarities between both versions? First, their wave functions. In each version, the roller coaster's position is a complete mystery in the quantum soup of possibilities. Second, in each version, the roller coaster can only be brought into the everyday world if it's measured. What do ideas and quantum objects have in common? The potential of seeing beyond the veil. Pretty close. Both of them are in the realm of possibility. Interacting with the system makes something sensible in the physical world. That's correct. Whether it's mental or a quantum object, they stay in the realm of possibility unless we activate them. In other words, since it's accepted, the devil exists in the spectral domain of spiritual powers. In order for his mission to see the light of day, he has to interact with the physical world. Let's consider the similar variant of the devil, which is Satan. In this instance, refers to the more general meaning of Satan, which is antagonist. But to interact with the spectral domain, there needs to be a participant in the physical world. So, is there a way in for the antagonist? According to Miracles, page 203, passage 4, verse 4, quote, "The ego's goal is quite explicitly ego autonomy," unquote. The entire section called "The Function of Time" in Miracles, in essence, in order for the ego to carry out its goal, it attempts to separate itself from the present by a direction where the now is bypassed and then the future is an extension of the past. Recall, the ego separates itself from the infinite. Since the now is the closest estimate of a timeless existence that Earth has to offer, where redemption can happen in a holy process, the ego is clearly against it. It so happens then, the antagonist and the ego have something in common. If what was mentioned holds, the direction should lead to an everyday world consequence. If he's from the spectral world, he's going to know that we're onto him. On that note, we can use the idea of the wave function to an everyday world purpose. Recalling something from a university course in law. We hope we get the pronunciation, so here goes. Refers to an article by Patricia Vasilchuk about geographic profiling from the Gazette magazine of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which essentially says officers can develop a geographic profile for repeated activity if there's a behavior pattern by the same individual in at least 5 different locations. Since investigators consider patterns as predictable, to construct a profile, data such as the location of an incident is put into a computer program. Then it calculates the probability of the individual living in an area. This technique had success in 2013 in the province of Quebec. Put another way, a geographic wave function is calculated, which is his or her probability of living in the bell curve. Does that make sense? The theory, follow the energy pattern, if there is one, and then construct a geographic biography of the Satan.
Put out an APB with someone with horns and tails.
Our first data entry, the chronicles in scripture already mentioned. Our investigation makes a twist into Egypt. It's well known ancient Egypt acknowledged a variety of gods and goddesses with different powers, such as Isis and Anubis. We found out a deity known as Apophis or Apep is seen as a dragon, which emanates the following general pattern: one who embodies chaos and hostile to light. It sounds promising. Also, Apophis is believed to be conceived in the primordial soup. Some mythologies say he was imprisoned in the underworld because he had been overthrown by Ra, the bringer of light. This just came in. Because of the wide reach of Apophis's possible locations, he's been given the name, quote, World Encircler, unquote. Right from the start, we can be confident the entire world is the scope of the bell curve. There's our second data entry. On that note, halfway across the world, our investigation gets grounded in the southwest of America. If you stay there long enough, you'll surely hear about the Hopi tribe, and they bring in a unique perspective. Just consider their origin story. At first, the universe, as we see today, was infinite darkness in the thoughts of the Creator, until order was conferred unto it. The Hopi emerged from the earth. At the center of their attention, they met a spiritual being known to them as Massa, who gave them instructions to live a peaceful life, and a charge to find their, quote, center place, unquote, in harmony with themselves and with nature. It's believed Massa was demoted because of self-pride. Consequently, he became a spiritual being of earth. More specifically, a deity of the underworld. As a result, he's also known to the Hopi as the Skeleton Man. A frightening aspect. Yet, the Hopi believe behind the mask is a handsome, well-balanced man. And there's our third data entry. So far, what's a common theme? A separation happened. A cloud of dust, a myth. But it's strange how some myths reflect light. A beginning, as it were. The challenge is on then to bring some order to our investigation. Slices right through the miasma, across the world, someplace in the ancient ruins of Greece. For many, Greece is the cradle of Western civilization, the pillars of society, democracy, and philosophy were born. All from the primordial non-existence of chaos. But there's nothing there. So how can something come from nothing? But then, out of the nothingness, emerged Gaia, Mother Earth, and other spiritual beings, like Eros, of love, and the abyss, a place in the underworld.
As fate would have it, Gaia birthed Uranus, Father Sky, who also became her husband. Their children were the Titans, such as Theia, Oceanus, Rhea, and Cronus, and others, such as the Cyclops. But Uranus was so horrified he locked the giants in the belly of Gaia. Consequently, she was in great pain and distress. Out of revenge, she tried to convince her other children to punish Uranus. Only Cronus accepted. And then Gaia forged a slicing tool, the scythe, gave it to Cronus. At the right location and moment, Cronus ambushed Uranus. By a cold, calculated modification with the sickle, Uranus was overthrown. Cronus became ruler of the Titans, and apparently he ushered in a golden age. Everything seemed fine, until a prediction bubbled up to the surface, which was one of his sons would overthrow him. Cronus married Rhea, the goddess of generation, but when she gave birth to their children, paranoid beyond belief about the prediction, he ate his own children. But then Rhea, the mother of divine beings, was vexed beyond belief because she couldn't raise her own children, had enough. Upon the birth of their last child, named Zeus, she tricked Cronus and gave him a stone to eat. Zeus had to be raised by his grandmother Gaia. But then it happened. Zeus was the one to overthrow his father. Cronus was banished to a place in the underworld known as Tartarus. But then it's believed by some that Zeus later released Cronus in a domain known as the Isle of the Blessed Dead, a retreat
as it were, for fallen heroes. There's our fourth data entry. Our investigation makes a short curve into Italy. Rome has been described as the transformer of Western civilization, such as with engineering, law, imperialism, and religion. Which makes sense because there's a lot of evidence Rome was highly influenced by Greece, such as with architecture, philosophy, and theology. This is where our investigation gets a break, cutting right to the chase, skipping histories. For whatever reason, the Roman god Saturn is isomorphic or analogous to Cronus. One explanation is that Rome simply appropriated Cronus's mythology to Saturn. And that's our fifth data entry, ladies and gentlemen. Good work. And the geographic profile shows the generalized Satan as the down-to-earth, personalized Saturn. Thus, it's possible to find his location in the sky map, a measurement, as it were, which is a physical phenomenon. As a result, our profiling investigation is completed. Back to our original question, how to identify someone believed to be from the spectral realm. Acknowledging Erwin Schrödinger, Canadian investigators, the universe, a list with too many names to mention, and both interpretations of quantum mechanics, we used a wave function paired with geographic profiling. Next, zeroing in on the sky.